Today's episode of The Mom Game is brought to you by our friends at Gateway Buick GMC at LBJ and Jupiter. I know that buying a car can be stressful, but not at Gateway because their slogan is, Gateway's got it. And just what does that mean? Well, it means Gateway's got a wide selection of new Buicks, GMCs, and GM-certified used vehicles, all competitively priced. Gateway's got it. In these busy times, you want a car dealer who makes things easy and convenient. Well, guess what? Gateway's got it. When you log on to gatewaybuickgmc.com, look for the Shop, Click, Drive button. This allows you to shop from the comfort of your home, and who doesn't want that? In fact, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, select your vehicle. 2, create your offer. 3, schedule your delivery. And on top of all this, Gateway Buick GMC offers complimentary car washes for life. So when you want a dealer who has it all, Gateway's got it. You can find them online at gatewaybuickgmc.com or shop in person at LBJ and Jupiter. GMC, we are professional grade. Experience the new Buick. And welcome to episode 207 of The Mom Game. I'm Emily Jones. She is Julie Dobbs, and we are not together in the Coppola studio, but we are in our remote Coppola home studios. Julie has proof that we're in the Coppola studio with the favorite.
I do.
Is this your favorite?
Yes, I keep this by my side at all times.
Is that your favorite one?
I had to get a bigger purse.
Which way?
Yes, this is my favorite one. This is the Francis Coppola Diamond Collection, which features a variety of wines in it. But this one is the Prosecco Rosé, and it is indeed my favorite.
I actually could use a glass of Prosecco Rosé. My favorite is the Claret. That's my favorite. That's the from the Diamond
really
Collection also.
Well.
I'm a red girl.
I know.
I'm a red girl. But I'm about to start going lighter because it's getting warmer. We have lots,
that's how it goes.
lots to discuss today here on The Mom Game from the Coppola home studio. So we're going to talk about some more serious stuff in just a little bit. Also too with some very special guests that we have coming up that actually turned out to be extremely timely for our Julie. But how are you outside of the thing we're going to talk about later?
I'm good. Yeah, just working and keeping up with these kids. You know, it's funny, a bunch of us moms are all like, you feel it coming. Remember for the whole month of May last year, like each one of our podcast episodes was talking about how crazy May was.
Yes.
And it's only about to be March, but you can feel like the aura, the crazy aura of May and April, and really it all begins in March. Comes to a head in May, but it's starting right now. And so it's like juggling all the activities, because basketball hasn't finished, and then soccer is about to start. And I, for some dumb reason, decided to be the momager for the Ryder soccer team because the other momager left. And I wanted the team to be okay. So I was like, I'll do it. So it's just like a lot of...
So what are the duties of the momager?
Basically emailing about freaking schedules and like games and like conflicts, and emailing the commissioner, and he didn't reply to me, and I was like emailing him again. It's just, it's
very serious business. Julie the momager.
It's very serious business. I did tell the team though, I was like, I will be the momager, but I am not doing the sign up genius. If there's somebody else that can do the sign up genius for snacks, then I can do the other stuff.
I think I've created like one sign up genius, and I think it was like horribly wrong. Like I created like we needed like a 1 pack of 50 pencils, and I put like 50 packs, and it was
50 packs of one pencil.
50 packs of one. I mean, yeah, I'm not real good at technology either. Yeah, so we're in the sports. We've said goodbye to basketball. Praise Jesus. No, it's just I told you, like Hattie was. It's
intense.
just not good. Like, and they're at that age where they're and she's super aggressive, too aggressive. We've established. But I'm telling you, Julie, the number of jump balls plus fouls in a 4th grade girls basketball game, I set the over under at 87. It is
my gosh.
just so hard to watch. And so we love her team. We love her coach. She loves to play. But right now at this stage, this 4th grade girls basketball was just, it was hard to watch. And we were having to play up like they were playing against 5th graders, and they're like a head taller than them because some of them had puberty, and it's like, what is happening? Anyway, so, you know, you live and learn, and sports teach you lessons. And the lesson we learned is that, you know, well, that there's a dog in my house. That's the lesson we learned. And so I'm thankful that the basketball
that the season is
over. Yeah. And then Henry finished up his basketball season. So now we're full on into softball and baseball. And so I feel like I need to share something with you that the Dirt Divas are no more, Julie. There are no more Dirt Divas.
It's the end of an era.
It's the end of an era. We went to a draft. So at the Little League we play at, they wanted some more parity and competitiveness and to help the girls develop and all that kinds of stuff, which I completely agree with. But they did only choose one division, which is our division, which does seem a little weird. Why wouldn't we do it across the board? But whatever. It is what it is. So we had to do a draft.
Only one division did the draft?
Only one division in softball did the draft. So whatever. It's neither here nor there. So the draft happened. So now we are the Lady Sluggers. And so we drafted, we do have a lot of the same girls. But yeah, so the Lady Sluggers are about to get their season underway this weekend. And then Henry will play his first tournament this weekend. And, you know, as much as I get overwhelmed by like the schedules and the calendars and stuff like that, as you know very well, I am so excited. Like, I am so excited to go to Henry's tournament this weekend. I'm so excited for Hattie to play her first softball game. I'm still coaching the Lady Sluggers. But I did we brought on a girl who played at a higher level. Well, I mean, I didn't play at any level.
You got
softball.
You a ringer.
No, as to coach. So she's coaching the practices.
Oh.
So she's running the practices. There's 2 dads and I that will coach the games. We have a coach ringer. But anyway, she's fantastic. And I feel like the girls are at an age where they've played long enough to where we can kind of start, you know, taking the next step in development, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm just so excited. Like, I can't wait to go.
It's so fun, isn't it?
Sit at a ball field and just watch Henry play baseball. Like, I am so excited about it. I'm also so excited about spring training. I'm excited about getting back to work. So I feel like there is I still don't have my exact game schedule yet, but I'm just really like, I feel like I'm in a good place. I've gotten a lot of stuff done this off season that I wanted to get done. And now I'm like, okay, let's go. Bring on baseball. This is my favorite time of year. The weather's getting warmer. Like I'm excited. And I don't know, I can't remember the last time, like, you know what? I love watching my kids play sports, but like, I just am so excited for, you know, baseball and softball season to be here. So it sounds super cheesy, but I'm super excited.
I totally get it. Like, I am the same exact way. We have an end of season basketball tournament this weekend for Ryder. And we've been having to make these plans where we're going to go out of town, and I've been telling you about that. And I'm like, I don't want to miss any of these games. Like, I don't want him to have to miss. So
I know.
He has his end of season tournament, and then they start soccer. And then we have, in our neighborhood, we do something called Hoops in the Highlands, and it's a 3-on-3 basketball tournament.
Oh,
and like, actually, Victoria Elliott is a sponsor of Hoops in the Highlands too, and Geico. Our wonderful friend Victoria here, as you can see on the mic flags, she also sponsors Hoops in the Highland because I've seen the big lizard there. And then I saw in some of her pictures that she was responsible for the big lizard that Anna's taken pictures with. Isn't that cool?
That is cool. Small world.
I know. So there's like 200 teams of 3 or 4 kids, 3 on the court at the same time, and Ryder and Anna are both playing. And so Ryder's with his same team. That is Swoosh. There it is. And
Love
then
it.
Anna's team. It's gonna be kindergarten girls playing 3-on-3. It's gonna be insane. But I was pretty proud of this team name. Are you ready for it?
Please.
Hair Jordan.
Oh, I love it. Hair Jordan.
Hair Jordan. And they're gonna have like crazy hair, and then the logo on the front of the jersey is gonna be Michael Jordan, but like with crazy hair.
That is amazing. I am very.
Thanks.
Who thought of that? Was that you?
Yeah.
Stop it! I love it. I'm very proud of
Yeah,
you. So creative. So creative.
Well, I don't go to a lot of the volunteer events, and I'm never room mom, but I can name a damn team.
Absolutely.
Emily. I can name a team.
Damn straight you can.
We also
Hair
named
Jordan.
the Swooshies, the Taylor Swift Swooshies. That's her main team.
Okay.
And then we have Hair Jordan. We have Swoosh. There it is. We named the Cheetahs. Back when Ryder was little, it's one thing I can do in this world is help name youth sports
You have a
teams.
gift.
Very
You
proud.
have a gift.
Proud.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I am super excited for Hair Jordan and Swoosh. There it is. And wish
Thanks,
them.
and I'm super excited for the Lady Sluggers.
Thank you. And Henry's just MVP, like his organization, whatever.
That's his. He's
That's
in club.
They didn't
Well-
ask me for names or you, obviously.
Right. My one takeaway, though, like from Hattie's softball is I remember when she started and you were like, oh, it's just going to be fun. You know, like you didn't think that was maybe going to be her sport, but you wanted to try it out. And it seems like it may be it. Like she's really
she's
loving
so
it. And I
into
love
it.
that it's kind of continuing and y'all are maybe taking those next steps.
Yeah,
to get to the
and
next
she's into
level.
volleyball,
That's awesome.
which volleyball is fun. It's inside,
Volleyball's
it's
so
fun, and it's pretty fast. Like it's fun to watch, especially when they're little. So yeah, it's sports season, turning over
it is.
the new sports season. That's so cheesy. I hate season shit.
I started doing that once though, and I will never be able to stop.
You're into it. Okay.
Season.
I don't even
Yeah,
know if I've
because
ever said that out loud. Like I've texted it as a joke, but I don't think I've ever said it out loud. I don't think it sounds good rolling off the tongue for me.
No, it's more like cool when you write it out.
Do I?
I said it's cooler when you like write it out.
Way
It looks
cooler.
Cool. SZN.
Okay, a couple of things we need to talk about. So can I tell you? Well, okay, I'm going to tell this story second. First of all, we need to talk about the Epic Waters giveaway. So we were at Epic Waters last week, and they have so awesomely partnered with us to like give away this ridiculously awesome ultimate birthday party. So we've got the entries coming in, but
Yes.
we want to get as much, we wanted to give as many people as we can a chance to win. So if can you kind of tell everyone what, or do you have it? I mean, it's like ridiculous. It's like the party,
Yeah, I can
like
pull it
to
up
end
here real
all
quick.
birthday parties. Like you would be the coolest parent in the entire world if you won this package. It's valued at over $3,000. I know that. It comes with all the decorations. It comes with, how many people? 20 or 30 kids?
I think up to 40.
40? It's insanity.
No, 30. Okay, I've got
30.
it right here.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the ultimate birthday giveaway at Epic Waters Indoor Water Park, which is, like Emily said, where we were last week, where you have seen us now twice, and a place that we love. It's funny. We were talking with our kids about happy places the other day, and Anna said indoor waters.
Indoor waters. Okay.
I was like, you mean Epic Waters? But she said that was her happy place, like of the whole world.
Love it.
Epic Waters Indoor Water Park is her happy place, and now you can have the ultimate birthday getaway there. It is truly the birthday party of your dreams. 30 party guests, admission for 2 chaperones, full day admission, dedicated party host to take care of all the details, full day party room rental with dedicated food service. They're going to feed everybody. Name on the digital display board, choice of food for the meal, unlimited pitchers with 2 choices of drinks, ice cream social, a themed premium cake that's provided by a local bakery, premium gift for the birthday child, $15 arcade card for each party guest, because that's something I feel like we haven't even talked about much, but Epic Waters has a badass arcade in it. So if the kids get tired of swimming or doing the water slides or whatever, then they hit the arcade, and it buys you another like 2 hours of just chilling. And so each kid at this birthday party that wins will get a $15 arcade card, and then there's themed decor and goodie bags for each guest that attends. So it's really like you have to do zero besides show up with the kids.
Sounds
and
amazing.
then they get treated to this amazing birthday party. So we have the link in our Instagram bio. Like if you just click right there, it says constant contact underneath our little names, and then Epic Water's ultimate birthday giveaway. It is always there, so it's living there. We're also like posting it a lot, but
yeah, and
you
it's
can
not.
go find
I mean,
it there in our
it
Instagram
takes
bio.
literally 10 seconds to enter. You enter your first and
You
last
just
name
add
and your
your
email address, and that's it. So we'll announce that I'll announce that next week, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we'll announce it next
I
week.
think
So
so.
enter while you can. Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about, I have a little bit of a confession to make. So last night you texted me and you're like,
You've been going on an adventure.
I'll call you in a few if you're up. And I typed out, yes, ma'am. And I don't know if it just didn't go through or I didn't hit send or whatever. And then I didn't hear back from you because Mike and I were watching a show in bed. And I was like, told Mike, I was like, Julie's going to call. I want to talk to her. He was like, okay. So then after a couple minutes, you didn't call. And so I got up and popped my early birds. And so when I was talking to you so then I look and I'm like, well, she said she was going to call. And so I'm just going to call her. And so usually when I pop my early birds, I'm going to bed. Like that's my happy, my happy place, night time. And so then I realized my text didn't go through. So I'm like, I'm just going to call her. So I call you and then I'm like, I'm just going to pour a small glass of wine. And so, like I said, usually when I take the early birds, it's night time. So I don't really, I just know it makes me happy and sleepy. And so like midway through our conversation last night, I was like, okay, well, this is fun. Like
The early bird hit.
The early birds hit
while we were talking.
And I remember I was asking you something. I was like, we're not talking about anything that's funny. Obviously, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But I was like, fine. I don't know. I was just like, it was just all light. And I don't know. It was crazy because I had never
of the early bird.
experienced the early bird in that fashion. But I must say, I'm a fan of awake early bird. Sign me up for more of that.
You liked it.
It was. I felt real loose. I'm just going to tell you that I felt real loose talking to you last night.
Yeah.
But anyway, a little bit of a pull back the curtain on that one.
Yeah, I usually will do that. Like I'll take it a little before bed, so I get the loosey goosey.
You get a little of a zoom before you. Before
and I took one last night too.
Oh, you did? Yeah. So we love Early Bird. They've been a sponsor of ours for years, and obviously we believe in the product. I use them. All the time. In fact, I'm almost out. Anyway, but our code right now for the mom game is the mom game, and that gets you a discount on any a la carte order, regardless of if you've ordered before or not. And then they are going to start a sample program if everybody's been like, because I have people that are like, oh, I don't know if I should try, but I'm kind of curious. Yeah. So they're going to start a sample program. We don't know the details of when it will be exactly, but you'll get a little. We're partnering with them to where if I forget how the specifics are going to work, but basically they send you a free 4-pack. Yeah. And for you to give it a try. That's how much they believe in their product, is that we're going to send you some free shit, and then we think you're going to like it and buy more. So anyway, thank you to Early Bird. We love you for getting us through, when we need it the most. So, okay, are you ready to talk about it?
Yes, okay. I am. Although I feel like there was one other thing
that you wanted to tell me.
Like housekeeping-y stuff. Oh, your like to know it post.
Oh, yes. Yes. So bless. Oh, bless me. So
it was making me laugh so hard. So
okay. Well, because you've been we've been trying not to bother you over the last, few days. And so I thought, we're trying this whole like to know it thing. We're trying to increase our digital marketing, digital stuff. And, one way to do this is, we've always had we had our merch for a while, but we didn't really put a lot of time into it. Anyway, it just didn't take off. Like, there's only so much shit you can sell with the mom game on it and with the mom game logo. Yeah. So we're like, well, what other ways can we, maximize, help our viewers and listeners, link them to products that we talk about, blah, blah, blah. And so we started the like to know page or shop. And we brought on my friend Jennifer, who is a stay-at-home mom. She was looking for something to do, wanted to kind of, kind of get re-engaged in something. And so we've brought her on to help us kind of get our shop started. And so we went to lunch last week, and we were talking about the new Rangers batting practice caps. And I was like, they're so awesome. They're so cool. And I'm like, she's like, we should do this, make our first like to know post or whatever on our shop. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. So we post it because we didn't have one yet. We post it, and then we ordered because I wanted to order one anyway. And, then they fucking sell out in like 5 minutes. And so I'm like, well, shit. Well, so then we figure out that there's there's all these different places where you can get these caps, and we linked it to another place. Anyway, we're learning about this whole thing that if a 25-year-old is listening right now, they're like, you old MFer, like what? I mean, you're so dumb. Welcome to, the 21st century, digital shit. But we're going to try it. And I think we're going to be, we're going to link products that we like and that we use. And if you're going to buy that product anyway, like, hey, head on over to our shop and shop with us. So anyway, it's been fascinating to learn about it and kind of pull the curtain back on it, because I've seen so many other people that have done it. I'm like, nobody cares about my outfits. But it's not just outfits. It's not just stuff like that. So anyway, it should be a fun, interesting process. But yes, I did do an Instagram story. And you know how I hate those. So I'm like talking, and then I tell Adam and Ashley that, like, hey, look at me, I went rogue and did a story. And they're like, yeah, but post the link. And I'm like, I thought I posted the link, and then it didn't show up. And then I did another story posting the link twice. And then I just went back on, and I'm like, I'm just a fucking disaster. I'm sorry, y'all. And I'll try to stay off your Instagram stories, for shit. Like, I don't know. I just was
I
like,
think people like seeing you on the Instagram stories, even if you
like
don't know
to see
what
me
you're doing.
being a disaster. Yeah, which is not hard to do, but yeah. So it'll be fun. We've already got some plans, and it'll be fun. So yeah, check it out if you're not on there. I mean, my whole thing is, I told Jennifer, I'm like, we're gonna go viral for being like the most ridiculous like to know shop ever, because like there's going to be, because everyone's going to be like, doing all these like, great looking videos and selfies. And meanwhile, like our first one was like my giant man hand holding my phone, showing this cap. Like, so we're going to be like the disaster page, but hopefully it'll take off and people will be like, oh, look, they must really use this shit because they're, because they're not even trying to make it look good.
They're just being real. That's
so
what we do.
It will not be your typical, beautifully curated shop. But yeah,
well, and a lot of those.
It's also, wouldn't it be ridiculous if it was like, it's us?
It
like,
wouldn't make any sense.
It wouldn't make any sense. So it's going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
Check it out. It'll be fun. So yes, I'm glad you asked about it. I totally forgot. Yeah.
It was fun. It was entertaining.
Thank you. I'm glad I could make you smile. Okay. So we got to talk about it. And it's crazy that we have the guests coming up that we have, because we shot this, with them in studio last week. And then the very next day or 2 days later, you sent me a text and said, I'm driving to Austin. My dad's not doing well. Yeah.
I want to say we shot with them Wednesday, and I probably sent you that text Thursday. I was interested in having Mike and Kim Barnes on the show. Mike Barnes reached out. He's a former sportscaster in Austin. I recognize his name from when I was growing up there, and he got to know you, Emily. And he reached out because what they're doing is really cool. They have this Parenting Aging Parents Facebook page that has tons of people in it. And they are providing resources for people that need help taking care of their parents that are aging. And I wrote back to him. We went back and forth on dates. I mean, I'm talking like 2 months, like that we were kind of trying to figure out when to have them on. And then we ended up having them on last week. And I talked in this interview that everybody's about to get to hear, about my dad and his situation, which was that he had been battling Alzheimer's for, 10 plus years. He got it early on in his 50s, and it was early onset Alzheimer's. And when we had this interview, it was the same, that it has been for a while. He recently had gotten back to his house in Austin. He was in Corpus Christi living in his mom's house with his 3 older sisters, taking care of him and his mom for 5+ years. And so for that 5 years, like, he was being so well taken care of, and he didn't need to go to a home and all that. But unfortunately, I didn't get to see him too much because he was down in Corpus Christi. And anyone who listens to this podcast knows that we don't have much time to just take quick jaunts 7 hours away these days. But he had recently gotten back to Austin, and my stepmom had moved him back into the house and built him his own bathroom area and all of that. And he was at the point where he couldn't talk and or barely even walk on his own, and he didn't know who we were. He hadn't known who. I mean, he knew who we were, I'm sure, deep down. But when we'd walk into the room, nothing. It wasn't like he could really even say hi. And if he could, he wouldn't know who I was. So it had been in a place that was, like, really tough and slowly getting worse for a while. But I was hopeful that it was going to, what the end game of Alzheimer's is. And I just didn't really think about that. I didn't want to think about that. And if that was going to happen, I didn't feel like it was going to happen soon. So we had our guests on that we're about to hear from, and you'll hear me in this interview talking about my dad. And just totally ironic and bizarre, the way the timing worked out, because after this interview, I got the call from my brother that Dad had taken a turn and wasn't moving, and there was, like, even a little bit of, like, convulsing, and at that point the nurse thought maybe he had a virus and his body was trying to fight it off, or he was, like, unfortunately, like, his body could be giving up. And so at that point I texted my work and told them I wasn't going to work Friday, and we had taken the kids to school on Friday, and I drove to Austin. And I'm super thankful I did, because I was able to sit with him all day Friday, and Saturday morning went back over there, and I knew Saturday it seemed like it had gotten worse, and we basically had been told by the nurse that, like, this was his body, like, transitioning into the next phase, where this was probably the end of the road for him. We didn't know how long that was going to last. But after I went to breakfast at my mom's house, I went and got Kelly and Ryder, because I had them drive up Saturday. And this was something that it was like, I knew what was happening. I knew my dad was passing away, and we didn't know if we wanted the kids to, I didn't know, do you bring them around or you not? But I knew I wanted them there. Like, I wanted them in Austin. I wanted Kelly and the kids there. And Ryder actually said he wanted to come see my dad. So Kelly and Ryder walked into the house where my dad was, and this was on Saturday after I'd been there for a day with him. And, like, the second that they walked in was basically when he started taking his last breaths. And so this was on Saturday, and unfortunately he passed away around 4:42 on Saturday afternoon, 68 years old. And it's been really tough, obviously. So, I'm just super grateful for you guys and how sweet y'all have been and how supportive, and we're really just taking it day by day, hour by hour at this point. I was so glad I got to be there with him, and it really was peaceful for him. Sometimes, because we unfortunately have seen this with my mother-in-law, and you don't know how it's gonna go, and he was his eyes were closed, he was asleep for a couple of days and just went peacefully. And it's just really sad because of obvious reasons, and then you have to explain it all to the kids, and they, that this isn't like hopefully we can get to live until we're in our 90s, and unfortunately Grand Danny was not, and there's nothing he could have done about it, nothing anybody could have done about it. This is just a disease, but the scientists are working on this disease, and I really feel like they are. I really feel like they're making progress with Alzheimer's, and it's something that is just devastating to watch, and it's something that I want to now, help with. I don't know how, but anything that we can do, and working with Alzheimer's Association, like I've been saying I wanted to reach out to them. Well, now I really want to do something, because it's just terrible, and no family should have to go through that. Nobody should have to go through that. We should be able to have our brains for working properly, as long as your body can keep it up. So it's just been tough. It's been sad. And now, you go into the whole planning mode, and you want to have a service and everything. So that's kind of in the middle. Like, that's what I'm in the middle of right now. And we know there's going to be something in Corpus Christi, which is his hometown, next week on Tuesday at 10 a.m. So I decided to come back to Dallas. And once it happened, and once we sort of felt like, okay, we've had some conversations, we're making some progress, let's all go back. This is my brother, my stepmom, and I. Let's all go back and get our work done, because we all have a lot of work to do, and then regroup. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Yesterday was my first day back on the radio, and I was able to talk about it with Mike and Jeff and Groobs, and then we were at a remote at Alamo Drafthouse Cinema, so the wonderful listeners that were there were so kind. They someone went out and got a card, and they all signed it. Aww. Which was just so sweet. I know. So I'm just kind of trying to go day by day right now. And we had a movie last night, and in between the radio show and the movie, I was finishing up his obituary because you have to do those things. And now we're trying to get it ready to post, so to get the word out for the service that's going to be in Corpus Christi next week. But yeah, it's just, one of those things, you don't know what life's going to throw at you. And I was hopeful that this wouldn't be happening anytime soon, but it did. And just trying to remain strong for, I don't know, myself probably. And you've been through it, Em, and I think you can. You just try to figure it out as you go. But I know that I can't wallow around in it for a week. We've got just not right now.
Well,
but I will take the time.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I told you last night is that. Yeah. Whatever it is that you need to do it. You know, and I know you say we got work to do, and you got to do all this, and you got to do all that, but you also too have to remember you need to process it. You need to feel those feelings. You need to allow yourself to feel those feelings. You need, whatever it is to help you cope with the loss of your father is what you need to do. And I shared this with you last night that with my dad, I didn't do it until it was very delayed. I think I was kind of in denial. My sister and I were trying to get his business ready to sell. He's a CPA. I didn't want all of his, I wanted his clients to be taken care of because I know that's what he would have wanted. All those things where I just kept pushing my grief down the road. And that grief never leaves you, but there is a certain level of processing that needs to take place. And it's something you can't keep running away from. And like I said, I did, and I wish that I wouldn't have, because it made things a lot more complicated down the road. Because I remember Mike being like, what are we doing here? And me not, I don't know. You just, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do, who cares what everybody thinks, or who care? You do what you feel like is best for you to process this and come to terms with his death. That's just the one thing I will tell you as your friend and someone who cares about you is don't put that off. I know there are things that have to be done, which also sucks. For grieving people, it's like, well, here's a list of shit to do while you're processing.
Price sheet on caskets.
Yes, yeah. It's like, I know, honey. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you were so proud of him.
Well,
I know you loved him so much. I love the sweet pictures that you've sent of him and the stories of, him taking you and your girlfriends across the border to party in college or high school or whatever.
He was so fun.
I love that. And and so I'm so incredibly sorry for your loss. And just know that the Mom Game family is here for you, and whatever you need to do, we're here for it.
Thank you. It's I've actually been looking forward to shooting this with you today, because you guys mean so much to me. And it was really just, I kind of couldn't get over the fact that we had just had these guests on to talk about parenting aging parents, and the timing of it all was pretty crazy. But I was looking forward to just kind of, I think for me right now, it's just like staying on track, and that kind of thing. But I said on the radio yesterday and told you guys, I sent y'all some pictures, like going through his scrapbook. Like he was so good at tennis. Like I knew it, but like reading the actual articles, so many articles, like number one in Texas at one point. The captain of the Baylor tennis team. And like, he was just expected to win every single match that he played. And there were all these pictures of him. And it's just really cool that he was able to, start up Dobbs tennis courts after he tried the pro circuit for 2 years and, had some success, but then it was one of those things. It's like, okay, I'm not going to like make it big. So what can we do? And started Dobbs tennis courts, and it's been around for 40 years. They do tennis courts and pickleball courts and basketball courts all throughout Dallas and Austin. And now Kelly's getting to take it over. So that's going to be one of our ways that we can honor him, is to keep the business going strong. And then the other way that I can honor him, and like I said yesterday, it's like he loved to laugh. He was always positive. He was really goofy and silly, even as he was nearing the end, like when he could still talk a little bit, like it was just giggling and just laughing and just making people happy. And he wanted to dance. He was dancing around the kitchen all the time. And so those are the things that I'm going to take with me. And I think they're good things for everybody to just remember. It's like, life is short. Like, you got to live every day to the fullest. You really do, because you don't know what's going to happen. And to try to have a positive perspective and be somebody that people want to be around. And those are all things that, I'll take with me and remember for him forever. And then, of course, I'm going to play as much tennis as I can.
I know. That's where you get it.
Really
That's where you get it.
That's where
you got to keep up that Dobbs dominating tennis legacy.
We do. What's the oldest age person to go pro? Do you think I could be pro?
Well, and you mentioned one other piece of advice that I'll give you, and because Ryder and Anna are close to the same ages as Henry and Hattie were when my daddy died. And I think in the beginning, like, you have to tell them really? All those things. But it, used to, when it first happened, when my daddy first died, I couldn't hardly say his name without like crying and like just having all these things happen. But the more time that passed, I thought and so I would avoid it, right? I would just I would keep those thoughts to myself, because if I said them out loud, I would start to cry. And so, but as time passed, I became so much more comfortable talking, because I thought I want to keep his memory alive with them. I mean, they were so young, but I want them to know Poppy. I want them to know what Poppy was like. I want to tell Poppy stories. Like because I don't want it, just because it's hard to talk about and think about, I don't want to rob them of that. And I don't want to rob myself of that. So that's what I would say. It might be hard, and it may not be for you, but it was for me to talk about him, with other people, because it just would send me into this. But now it's like we talk about Poppy all the time, and it's great. And they know Poppy's personality. They know his quirks, and they know, all those things. And now talking about him, makes me happy. It makes me happy that I'm sharing that with them, that we,
of course,
all those little things. So,
and I think if it's us someday, like that's what I want, that's what I want my kids and grandkids to do. It's like, don't forget about me.
I know. Yes. Damn it. Don't forget about me, for goodness sake.
Time with FOMO, right?
Right.
Like, don't forget about me. Talk about me.
FOMO from the grave.
So no, I think that's great. FOMO from the grave. Exactly.
Is that the title of this episode?
And so
FOMO from the grave. That's definitely not appropriate. Not appropriate.
Probably not.
It's not appropriate. Okay.
But it could be. But no, that's really good advice, Em, and I know you've been through it too, and I get that, because it's like sometimes you want to talk about it, or sometimes thinking about it, it's like you're trying to go through the day and you might be like running an errand and you're like, well, I'm not prepared to cry right now or get into this like mindset, so you just try not to, and you push it away and all of that. So that's great advice from you. And I think for anybody that's grieving something or going through something like this, it's like you have to give yourself the space to grieve. And so And I did. I had like, we had so many things last weekend on the calendar or whatever, and it was like kind of nice just to wipe everything out and just to go be with him and sit with him. And the day after it happened,
You were where you were supposed to be.
Talking about him and looking at pictures and trying to figure things out, and being with my family. Hadn't had that much time with just my brother in like a long time, We have spouses and kids and everything. So there were some nice things that we experienced throughout it, and I was so happy that it was peaceful for him, and now we move forward and share his legacy and do all of that.
Well, you were where you were supposed to be, and I'm so glad you were there. I'm so glad you were there.
Thank you.
For you and for him.
Me too.
For sure.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, and thank y'all for all y'all's support.
Well, we love you, and I know the mom gamers love you too. So we just love you, and I'm so sorry, and we're always here.
Thank you.
Whatever you need.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and this is a great space to have to be able to talk through life, right?
Yeah.
That's something that I'm dealing with, so we'll talk through it.
Yep. Okay, so it is the aforementioned interview that is almost eerily ironic, all the things that we had them on just, days before this happened with your dad. But it's an important, thing that they're doing. It's an important message to share that a lot of us are going to go through as we continue to raise children, and then you kind of turn the tables and start raising those parents again. So here now, our special guests.
We're so excited now to introduce our special guests for this week's episode. This is Mike and Kim Barnes. They traveled all the way from Austin to join us today. We're so grateful for that. And you guys are doing something very cool that I feel like is very beneficial to a lot of people, probably. Former newscasters, reporters, been on TV. So now we just kind of want to go from beginning to end. Tell us about that, broadcast career and how you sort of made this transition to what you're doing now.
I'll let you go first. Ladies first.
Well, I was a news anchor reporter for 15 years. Loved that. Had a lot of great fun. Covered a lot of big stories. I actually always thought it was interesting going to city council meetings and learning about property tax rates and things like that. I'd come home and Mike would be like, wait, what? Let's talk sports, right?
Yeah. I'm with Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all would be as well. Yeah. Just kind of, I've always had that knack for wanting to learn and be able to educate other people. So I think that was partly what got me really interested in being a reporter and then anchoring as well, which was super fun. And then, fast forward many years, have done other things in my career as well. But this has kind of been the culmination of so many different parts of our lives, I think. I started doing a business where we did on-camera coaching, media training, all of that. And then when Mike had this idea, really right before COVID, he came to me with this idea, and I was like, So I'll let you tell that. I'll let you pick it up from there. But after a very illustrious career that Mike had in sports.
Yeah, I didn't realize that we were talking before 30 years. That's how I met you, was as a television reporter when I was in Lubbock. And you were in Austin. Yeah. That's how we met. And then I asked you just now, I was like, how long were you in that game? And you're like,
long
30
time.
years.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you on TV. when
you were a kid.
There we go.
I get that all the time.
Yeah, we always love that. Like, oh yeah, I watched you growing up.
Up.
Ooh, that makes me feel really old.
I get it at Rangers games too. They'll be like, I grew up watching you, and I'm like, oh, that hurts. You have a beard. Like, that's so aggressive.
Exactly.
Wait, you have gray hair and you grew up watching me. That's not good.
Yeah, exactly.
Not okay.
Yeah.
So you were sports.
I was a sportscaster from 1989 to 2019.
Did y'all meet right fast? Did y'all meet at work?
We met in college.
In a journalism class.
Okay.
So
you can tell the story real quick.
it's a really long story, but to suffice it to say, we met in college our junior year in a broadcast journalism class. We had 2 dates scheduled the spring of our junior year. Usually not a good idea to schedule 2 before you've had 1.
I was just about to say.
Yes.
It's awfully presumptive.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I called her to ask her out, and before I could get it out, she asked me out.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So suffice it to say, we had those 2 dates, and then we had 5 dates over the next 3 years.
Oh. So started out real high and just
I move at a snail's pace.
Okay.
He was in a really bad car accident. I came to visit him in the hospital. He was kind of basically unconscious, and the long and short of it is I
Woke me up.
touched his arm, said his name, and woke him up.
Whoa!
So that's what
wow.
that's a long story.
Wait a minute.
Amazing.
We are.
kidding.
Mike keeps trying to pitch it as a great Christmas Hallmark movie. Don't
No
you think?
kidding.
Yes,
No
yes.
kidding.
Because it was the day after Christmas that he woke up.
Yeah.
And on Christmas Day, his parents were told, "We're not sure if he'll get better." So we think this would make a great Christmas movie.
It would, if you're into Hallmark movie production,
Even Disney. I mean, it's like when the princess gets the kiss from the right guy, and
That's right.
you know,
Wow.
Yeah.
whatever happens. Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, and then we were engaged 6 months after I woke him
Okay.
up, if you will.
That's a sign.
Yeah, we've been
Yeah,
married.
then we
for-
sped things up a little bit.
Well, and then it's like you can't get. I mean, you better stay with this woman forever. She like,
Exactly.
controls your,
Exactly.
you know, your being. It seems like. Okay, all right.
Okay.
I just wanted to know the backstory on
Yes,
that, and that's,
yes.
I'm glad I asked because
Yeah.
that's a great backstory.
Now you know.
Okay, so you guys meet at college, get married, blah blah blah, do all the TV things.
Yeah. So I was a sportscaster for 30 years, and after I left TV, teamed up with her for Barnes Team Media to do the coaching training to help people communicate better. And during COVID, it was all on Zoom, so lots of people needed the Zoom training.
Right.
Everybody's on camera all of a sudden. Yeah.
But along the while this was going on, my mom has Alzheimer's, and as we all know, Alzheimer's is not an overnight type of thing. And she started showing the signs. Gosh, probably a dozen years ago, she started forgetting things, even though she wouldn't admit to it. And in 2019, I came up here to Dallas to go to a doctor's appointment with my mom, my dad, and my sister. And afterwards, we'd already talked to my dad about she's going to need to go to memory care. Not today, not tomorrow, but pretty soon she's going to need to go to memory care. So my sister and I went and looked at 4 memory care places real close to the independent living place that they live out in Rockwall. And I went in with the attitude like, this is going to be so easy. It's like looking for an apartment in my 20s. Like, let's just make sure the closet's good enough for mom's clothes. This will be no problem at all. And I get in there and they start asking me all these questions and start using all these acronyms, and my head's spinning. I don't know what to say. I don't know what questions to ask. I don't want to sound stupid or dumb.
But you've never done this before.
Right.
So
I
how
was
are you
about to
supposed
say,
to know?
not to say you are, but you kind of are in that situation.
because
Like
I've
you,
never
you
done
just don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, you've never done this
But I
before.
thought it was going to be easy. And I drove back to Austin and walked in. I still remember Kim was sitting in our study at the computer, and I walked in and I said, you know what? That wasn't fun. I felt so overwhelmed. I feel like we should start something, I don't know, maybe a Facebook group to help people who are having problems going through stuff like this.
And to be totally honest, when he came up with the idea, I just said, wow, that sounds kind of depressing. That's not fun stuff to talk about.
Right.
And it's not. And yet, as the process unfolded, it took about 1.5 years for the move to actually happen to memory care. And over that time, I started really noticing that, okay, one of my really good friends from college, her mom has Parkinson's. I just accidentally found out. Another friend, oh, your mom had brain surgery. Oh, I accidentally found out. I was also stepping in to help more manage my mom's doctor's appointments and prescriptions, and did they get refilled on time, and who's going to fill her pill box because she lives in a different city than I do. And over that time period, it started making me realize, you know what? This is a topic. We don't talk about it. Not like we do with our kids.
You don't want to. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
not you don't want to, but it's like you don't want to think about that, you know, them aging and needing that care. And I think too, it's probably hard. Like your parents are the ones, they take care of you. And so that transition that takes place, it's like, you know, it's the end of your like childhood in a sense.
Well, I kind of compare it to having kids because especially your first kid, at least for Kim and for me, we didn't really know what was going on. Kim knew how to change a diaper and she had to teach me. But otherwise, as kids are growing up, you don't know what you're doing when they're having trouble sleeping or they're having trouble with gas or they're having trouble with everything growing up. But everyone you know, friends, neighbors, relatives, coworkers, they all have suggestions for you.
And your parents.
Oh,
and your
even
parents.
if you don't want the suggestions,
That's
they
right.
have them
But
for
things
you.
are going to get better.
Yeah.
Little Junior's not sleeping through the night. Here's what you do. Things are going to get better.
And you're going to get through the terrible twos or
Yeah.
the teenage years or
Yeah.
whatever.
Everyone has a suggestion for you because hopefully things are getting better. And it's just the opposite with aging parents where things are getting worse. And chances are it's not going to get any better. So you don't want to be the proverbial party pooper and bring it up where, oh, well, I'm here with my 2 friends and, hey, guess what? Mom has Alzheimer's. She doesn't recognize me. Oh.
Well,
That's a
And-
buzzkill.
yeah.
That's a buzzkill.
Yeah.
Kill if you're having drinks with
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and you just don't, it doesn't happen to people at the same age. So where, usually with your kids, certain things happen around 2, around 4, around 12 when they're going through puberty or whatever. So you kind of know to expect that. But with our parents, you can have very different 65-year-olds and very different 95-year-olds. You can have a 95-year-old who's still, working out every day.
Sure.
And a 65-year-old who really can't live on their own. So we don't always know that other people are really going through this. And if we just really felt like, okay, if we do talk about this tough topic, that we can help each other. Because, if your mom gets scammed, call me. I gotcha. We've been through that. I know some of the things to get through. And, if you have struggles with, mom doesn't recognize me anymore, talk to Mike. He's dealing with that on a, daily basis, if you will.
Right.
And so I feel like it was we just really felt called to we started with the free Facebook group and really had no expectation. I mean, we had no idea what might happen. And then as we had hundreds and then dozens of people, we were like, hundreds and then thousands of people were like, oh yeah, there's a huge need here. And then we started doing interviews from the very beginning as well.
Yeah.
Because
there's just so many people out there who don't admit to it. And once they find out that something's available, it's like, I'm so glad this is here. I felt so alone.
It
Yeah.
does seem like there's just not enough, right? Like
Right.
this is something that affects almost everybody at one point or another.
Right.
And like you said, there's resources for all kinds of things for young moms, and there's groups, and it's all about asking for help.
Yeah.
yeah.
But something like this, it's a kind of like dark internal struggle that a lot of people deal with. So I think what you're doing is amazing. So it started with the Facebook group. So tell us about the Facebook group in itself, how that was received, and then what you guys do within that group to help people.
Yeah, we moved my mom into memory care on March the 8th of 21, and Kim went up with me as my sister and I took her, and Kim stayed with my dad. And as we drove home, I posted something on Facebook about, this is a tough day. It's not fun basically saying goodbye to your mom, even though I knew I'd visit her quite a bit, but still putting her into memory care wasn't fun.
Well, and separating your parents who've been
Yeah.
married for 60 plus years.
Right.
Yeah. And now they don't live together. So my dad, again, visits all the time, but they don't live together, which
Right.
is tough on him.
Yeah.
But I posted something on Facebook, and besides people having empathy and saying, "Oh, Mike, I'm so sorry. This is a tough time. Sorry about that." So many people said, "I've been through something similar. Yeah, I'm afraid something similar is coming for me down the road." To where you realize that it's happening to so many people.
Yeah.
So because of that, Kim finally said, "Yeah, okay, let's see what we can do."
I was like, you're right. This is a conversation that people aren't having, even though really in any given room you look around and ask, and whether it's something that you're going through with your own parents or you saw with your grandparents or you see with an aunt and uncle or an uncle, people are going through it. And we thought from the very beginning, what can we add to the conversation? So we started doing interviews with experts because we were new to this too. There's so many things that we didn't know. And selfishly, we started with some of the topics that I needed because I was doing more of the hands-on
Yeah, we do
help.
that with parenting experts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to talk about
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, while you're here, let me run a few scenarios past you and let me know what you think.
Right. Just asking hypothetically.
Yeah. Let's just say a child were to lay on the floor and refuse to give up.
Right.
Get up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But rather than just opening up a Facebook group and saying, "Okay, talk, chat, ask questions,
Yeah.
talk amongst yourselves," like, okay, what can we add? What can we do to make things a little bit different? But, okay, we've interviewed thousands of people through the years on TV, so let's interview people. So we have about 100 interviews that we've done over the last almost 3 years, 2.5 years.
that are on our website. Yeah. And as a former reporter, those are the things that I love. Like, okay, let me understand. Once I started getting into understanding Medicare and Medicaid and, all these Social Security and downsizing and Alzheimer's and dementia and all these other kinds of topics, for me as a former news reporter, it really made, I told Mike, I said, I'm actually this is sort of fun, but in a weird way, not because it's the topic, but because
Right.
we're actually able to help people understand better. And the community is amazing. We were in the Costco magazine in January, which
we
brought
saw
in
that.
thousands of new people. And what we have loved is that because people don't talk about this, it can make you feel like I must be the only one. And when you're in a community like this, you quickly realize, oh wow, there's so many people that are going through the same
it's
things.
like I have a girlfriend who had Down syndrome, has a Down syndrome child, and one of the first things she did was she found a Facebook group with other, Down syndrome moms, parents, that they can kind of, because not every situation's the same. There are varying levels of Down syndrome and disabilities, all that different kind of stuff. But for her to have that that kind of that. I mean, we're her close friends, and we talk about Charlotte with her all the time.
Right.
But there's certain things I can't understand because I don't have a Charlotte. I don't have a child with Down syndrome, and so having that, knowing, it's like not. This is a terrible saying. Misery loves company, but anything loves company. Like you want someone that you can identify with, and someone that where yes, 100%, that you're not alone. And I would assume with you guys doing all the interviews and things, just like anything else, no two situations, scenarios, people are alike. So they're all going to be, everyone's going to have their own, take on what's going on with their parents.
Yeah. So much of it, I think, is do we at least understand the vocabulary and the questions to ask and what kinds of people can help me? Because that's one of the things that we quickly realized in our own journey is that there are so many services and providers out there who can help you. Yet as the adult child, I don't know that. I've never looked for them. I don't even know what to Google. And that was when we discovered with, Mike's search for memory care with his mom, we thought, well, there's probably a consultant or somebody that you could hire, but it's probably really expensive. We didn't know that there are senior care advisors who can help you narrow down your list, just like an apartment locator, and help you find a place based on, your income and other criteria.
And it doesn't cost you
and it's
anything.
free. So who knew? And we would have probably used someone like that had we known, but we didn't. And so it's, can we help connect people to those resources and the types of services that might be beneficial? Because it can just feel overwhelming when you're trying to understand. I mean, when I was trying to decide if mom should stay on the same Medicare plan, oh my gosh, I could have beat my head against the wall, trying to understand some of those things. So it's really trying to bring people together to help them, answer little questions like, hey, mom's bored during the day. Anybody have some suggestions of ways to keep her busy because she's not mobile? Or, can she volunteer? Or, different things like that, as well as, some questions about, okay, mom's getting really confused or she's saying that people are stealing from her. And that often is some confusion that can come from a UTI, or it could be dementia. There's different things like that too. So really just trying to help support people in that way.
And unfortunately, when you start talking to people in the business, like UTI, they'll start throwing out the acronyms. And when I was in one of the memory care places, they said something about an SNF, and I'm thinking, Sunday Night Football? What is
What is that?
That was not what they meant.
What is it?
Skilled nursing facility.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, who knew?
No,
And-
not
But
me.
unless you're in it, knee deep.
Sure.
You don't know. You don't know.
Yeah, we
But
actually
people
created.
assume that they do.
Yeah, we actually created a little decoder,
Like a dictionary,
Yeah,
yeah.
a little one sheet.
I
with it.
see it right here.
Yeah.
I'm on your website.
Yeah.
So it says, confused by all the caregiving jargon, get our caregiver decoder.
Decoder, that's right.
A reference guide. Oh, I love that. And some of these quotes of what people have said after they've been a part of this group are awesome. Here's somebody that says, this group is like oxygen for those of us out of breath caregiving. This group and the valuable information saved me at the hardest time in my life. I refer at least one person a day. Someone said, in just a few short minutes, not only do I feel so alone, but I also have ideas to act upon for solutions. So just that aspect of it, like, has to feel really good for you guys. I mean, it seems like it's turned into, a bit of a business, but it's also something that's so rewarding.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if not daily, at least weekly, somebody in the group will comment about, and not just to us, but just the collective group.
Community.
Yeah, just how much that they have felt supported, which
Yeah.
just makes us feel so good.
Okay,
Yeah.
as far as I want to talk about this too, this resource that you guys created, this guide. So, for those of us, my father died suddenly when he was 67, so I didn't go through this whole, process. My stepmother has Parkinson's. Her children take really good care of her. She doesn't live here, but I'm thinking about with my mom. You gave me this and said, she's in very good health, but they're like, this is the time.
Right.
This is the time to get this thing
Yes.
out. So just talking about creating this and what this can kind of do. And is this a good starting point for people who are starting to go down this journey?
Yeah, because the time to have a lot of these conversations with your parents is way before you need them.
Sure.
Because then they can be kind of hypothetical. What are your desires? What are your needs? What kind of financial situation are you in? Because a lot of times they're a little private about that. So we created the Caregiver's Key selfishly because I needed it because I managed so much of that for my mom. But it allows, we've had people who've said it just made it feel like filling out paperwork with their parents.
Sure.
Like, hey, mom or dad, this would be really helpful information for me. if I need to help you along the way, so that I'll be able to have the information handy. And so it can be just sort of, it could be almost like, let's just fill out some paperwork, where it just doesn't feel like I'm getting all in your business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it can feel a little.
It can be awkward. I know when after my dad passed away, my sister and I made my mom get a long-term care insurance policy. We made her, and she was like, "What does this mean?" And I noticed you get a death benefit of of like $10,000 if I die, and I'm like, oh boy, you better watch out. I'm coming for you for that 10 grand, Mom. Like, I'm going to off you for, it's like, whatever. Right. But it's a weird, those are weird conversations you have to talk about. Same with like, do you want to be buried? Do you want to be cremated? All that kind of stuff. Like, it's like, we don't want to talk about it because it means bad things are happening, but it's like, it's so incredibly necessary.
Right. And the earlier you start, the more you can do it in pieces. So you don't have to feel like, it doesn't have to feel like, when you're dating, like, okay, it's time for the talk. We got to have all the, get everything out on the table. That way you can kind of do it a little bit at a time, but you can start finding out those questions because, do they have debt? Do they have a pension? Do they have other forms of income? Those kinds of questions are really important. Are they planning to live with you? Or,
Hard no. That's a hard no over here.
But those are, a lot of times there are assumptions that our parents may have that if we don't know about it, it's hard to take proactive.
Right. Yeah. And Mike, I told you a little bit about like my situation, and it's like, well, y'all are here, kind of like we're talking about when you have the experts, you might as well chat about some things. But yeah, I mean, I have the whole Alzheimer's thing in common with you. And my dad had early onset. So his came up suddenly. Like he had always been, not always, but not long before we found out what it was, it got worse, but he'd always kind of been a little bit flighty, right? Like, and I am that way. Like, I don't have my keys. What? Stop it. Like, I don't have my keys. I don't have this. I left this. Oh, where do I, like I'm that way. And so he was that way, but we never really thought much of it. I remember one time before there was any sort of diagnosis, we were all at the airport and he put his keys to the car that we were driving in his luggage and checked it. Oh. and he went to go look around for his luggage and find the keys. My brother and I are sitting in the car like, what? We can't, what's happening? Like, it was just things like that, but that was before there was any diagnosis. Yeah. And then he did turn out have early onset Alzheimer's in his 50s. And it was kind of like I'm young when this happened. I was younger. I was like getting ready to have my own kids. Like we just were very unprepared for the situation. Luckily, he has three older sisters that stepped up to the plate and take care. Well, they did this for 7 years. It just changed, but they took care of him and their mom, who's now in her late 90s, at her home in Corpus Christi, which for him was good because it was his childhood home, and he
felt comfortable.
He felt comfortable there, being by the ocean and being, what he kind of could remember. Now he's at the point where he doesn't, he hasn't known me for a long time, and all of that, and it's just so hard. And so I'm going to send all of this information to my stepmom, who currently has him. She had, he'd been with his family, and then they kind of had to throw in the towel after 7 years of doing it. They didn't even live in the same city. They were driving, they were taking care of him. So he's back in her home in Austin. They built him a little area with a shower, and, all that. But she's like full on caretaking, running a business. She has a grandbaby that was kind of plopped in front of her because her daughter couldn't take care of it. Anyways, it's a lot.
You got a lot going on.
And I know that she doesn't really have a sounding board, and she's right there in Austin where you guys are. Yeah. And I feel completely just helpless a little bit in the situation because like I've got 2 little kids, like a job or like 3 jobs.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is that you're younger than like most of your friends aren't going through this. People your age, because you have a situation where it happened a lot earlier, just as we talked about earlier, and that's what I think is tricky. So I mean, we have people in our community who might be 35 with a 65-year-old parent that is having struggles, or we might have a person who's retired and 70 taking care of their 95-year-old parent or 98-year-old parent.
Yeah.
So, but everybody has similar experiences.
Right. Yeah. It's especially hard when you're in that zone where you're taking care of kids and then all of a sudden a parent, So I'm trying to figure out what I can do to be more helpful, more involved, and everything like that. But that's why, I just think that this is so awesome what you guys are doing, and the whole Alzheimer's thing. Like, how many of the people that you guys talk to, see, post in the group are dealing with Alzheimer's, because it's insane.
A lot. Yeah. A lot of Alzheimer's and a lot of other types of.
Has it always been this prevalent? Because it feels like it's way more prevalent, and maybe it's just because we're older and we're paying more attention.
I think it partly because of life expectancy being longer.
True. Yeah.
You know, 50 years ago, people died around 70 on average, and now it's like 78.
Yeah.
So that 8 years can be a big
Living longer. Yeah.
What I like to say is that unfortunately the crisis is going to come in some way or another. The crisis is going to come, but how big of a crisis is it going to be? Because if you can lower that crisis level, because you know everything that you need to know, where if you're at the hospital and they start asking you about, oh, does dad have Medicare? Or they start asking, well, who's mom's cardiologist? And you're like,
is he on
have
these
no idea."
medications?
Yeah, they ask
they're
about
worried. Do we need to be
medications,
worried
or
about
ask
medications?
about finances or whatever they ask about? Or maybe it's because dad broke his leg, he's in the hospital, and he still lives at home. So who's going to mow his yard? Well, I know that a kid down the road mows it, but I guess
What's his name?
It's in his iPhone. How do I get to his iPhone? It's locked, and he's.
Oh my gosh, so many things.
There's so many things.
That you
But
just,
you think all these things can raise that crisis level, but if you know them, have them handy, whether it's in the book or whatever that you need, so that you can lower the crisis level. So all you have to focus on is mom or dad and that one problem.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much easier and helps your life be a lot more.
Yeah, I need these for my husband's parents too. Like,
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
we had a number of people.
Let
that
me
were
know when
doing-
you're done. I'll come pick it up.
We had a number of people who were doing that over the holidays.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it really is. It's so beneficial for them. I mean, I know it's not the most sentimental gift, but it's so purposeful.
You know, one thing I thought about, and I'll let you open up and just pick a page, is that there's a notes section on the left side.
Yeah.
So while you're asking these tough questions, whether it's about
I mean, that's a
What-
fun.
yeah,
Your
yeah.
hairdresser or
Hairdressers, memberships,
But
manicurists.
besides asking that, you can ask, hey, Mom, do you remember the first time you ever got your nails done? And you can write it down so you can have a memory. Dad, do you remember who your barber was when you were growing up? Oh, yeah. And you could write it down. So it gives you a chance to you can write down some memories, but you can make the conversation more, well, Dad, how much money do you have?
Right.
Dad, where's the will?
Right.
It's not that serious, so you can take it a little softer approach, but also get some great memories that you're able to write
Because
down.
that's
and
so
keep.
special, because, once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you don't have that anymore. We went through that with my mother-in-law. She passed away due to a recurrence of breast cancer, and we brought my little kids up, as she was on her last couple of weeks, and I sat there with my notes in my phone, and I was just asking her questions. I was like, what are your favorite flowers? Like, what's, whatever it may be. I'm going to cry, because it's just both, all of the things, Arlene and then my dad. But what you're saying is so important. If you can just write these things down and say there's grandkids, then you have something you can tell them.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So she told us, here's a little silly story because I'm already crying. Yeah. She told us, she was like, I want them to remember me and ladybugs. Like, I love ladybugs. And now we have that. So, and there's a lot of ladybugs.
When you start looking for them, right? You start noticing
especially
them.
when they're that little, like, because my kid, my kids were so young when my dad died, and so when you first lose them, it's hard to talk about because you just break into crying.
Right.
Yeah.
But the more time that passes, the more I love to talk about Poppy.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna make me cry. But anyway, like, we love to talk about him, and I want to talk about him. I want them to know.
Yeah.
You want them to know all those things. So anyway, all right, Julie.
Thank you. That's a good friend right there.
Trying to make you feel better by crying with you.
Because you're both emotional, I'm going to tell you this: is that
Thank you.
I know it's hard because you're dad. Because trust me, I go through it with my mom, and we're going
We're
to
gonna
go
go see her
Mom
this afternoon.
after this. And I know, I visited her in January.
The Mom Game is proud to partner with local Geico offices, Victoria Elliott, proudly serving your local community.
Hey, Mom, it's me, Mike, your son. And most of the time it's like, I don't recognize you, or are you my brother? That type of thing. But I'll start talking to her, tell her stories, remind her, you have a daughter-in-law named Kim, remember your grandson Brandon, your granddaughter Taylor. I'll bring up some stories and I'll say some things. And even though she doesn't remember things, she kind of warms up. It's like, oh yeah.
Like, she's
The last time
interested in your story.
I did in January, no, nothing. To where I would say, no, you're my mom. I don't think so. No, you're my mom. I couldn't convince her, and it may be the same today. But what I try to tell people, and it's a hard thing to wrap your head around, but it can help so much, is don't worry about what's missing. Love what's still there. And the fact that I can go see my mom, she's been my mom for 56 years, and she'll always be my mom. I'm her only son. She's my only mom, and I can still make her smile. She may not remember me, but I can say something that makes her laugh or make her smile, and that warms my heart. So thinking about that and not walking away going, I can't believe she doesn't remember me. She doesn't remember anything about my
Throwing
life.
yourself a pity party.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Just love what's still there.
That's
And
really good
that
advice.
can help so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last time I saw my dad, I mean, he hasn't known really us for a while, but I reintroduced him to my husband, and he got scared. So Kelly's like 6'4", like bearded Canadian, and we just laughed, and then he kind of started laughing,
Right.
and I was like, "Do you remember Kelly?" He was like, "Ah!" It was just like a month or two ago, and what we did, we started laughing, and you're right, it's about trying to find the things. I'll hold his hand, say like, "I'm your daughter," blah blah blah, and you can tell every once in a while, like, and you do have that ability to connect with them that other people don't. Like, no nurse is going to be able to do that.
Exactly.
Like, no visitors, no other visitors. And so
It's like they somehow still feel, like
something.
know that you're somebody who they love. I mean, wasn't it? She referred to your dad one time about like, the man who comes who likes me. I mean, she was referring to somebody at,
Right.
in the memory care. So, they can still have that, like they can feel that love and that warmth, even though they may not be able to really share
exactly.
Piece
So
everything
if
together.
You can give that to them.
But it's really hard.
Yeah, it's really hard. So, I mean, I know a lot of people are going through it. So,
Well, tell people where we can.
This is awesome.
Yes, where can people find you? I'm sure there'll be a lot of people listening and watching that are like, oh my gosh, where have these people been? Where has this group been? My not my whole life, but since I've been going.
A lot of it.
Yeah. The easiest place to find us is just on our website, parentingagingparents.com. And from there, there's a button right there that'll take you right to the Facebook group. So you're in the right place. That's where the key is. That's where the decoder is. There's also some other resources and other products and services that we found that might be useful to know as well. And then, of course, the 100+ interviews on all different topics that might be beneficial as well.
I love it. I guess anything else that we didn't ask you guys, you want to get out there now that you're here sitting with us and have the platform.
The biggest thing is to communicate. Don't sit in silence and again have the proverbial pity party with yourself. But whether it's because you think it's going to come down the road because Alzheimer's runs in the family or Parkinson's runs in the family or heart attacks run in the family, whatever it is that you think, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I'm going to hit this. It's going to be terrible. I don't even want to think about it or talk about it. Talk about it. If you talk with your siblings to get things not prepared, but make sure you're on the same page about what's going to happen. Do you know who are mom and dad going to live with?
Or where?
Yeah, where are they going to live?
Are they stay at home? Are they going to
do
move
they
to a
do they have
community?
do they not have the money where they need to live with one of us? Do they have the money to live at home and have caregivers? Do they need to go to independent living? Figure that out ahead of time so that you have a bit of an idea. But after that, have the conversations with mom and dad about finances, about housing, about where they want to live, about the legal stuff. We have so many people in our group who say, yeah, dad's 86 and he has dementia and he doesn't have a will. What should we do? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
No.
Good luck on that, Ace.
Yeah, start early.
Yeah.
And if you can start communicating this with mom, dad, family members early on, it's just going to help so much. And again, that crisis level is going to come, but let's bring that level down so that you can only have to concentrate on what's going on with mom
That's
or dad.
such great advice.
Yeah, and we love getting to go speak to organizations and companies and things like that to be able to share that. Like, what are the things you can start doing, information to gather, conversations to start having, so that you can be more prepared? Because it can be so overwhelming, and also know that there are people that when we do talk about it, we can help each other.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love this last little, I have your ways to help here, which you've covered most of them, but be patient. Know that losing mobility, health, and independence is hard for our parents too. Yeah. That's one that's really easy to forget, this is hard on us. Imagine how they're
on that.
how they're doing too. So it's really wonderful what y'all are doing. You have a new member in me. I'm going to go join. I'm going to send it to my stepmom who's sitting there with my dad every day, trying to navigate all of this. And hopefully a lot more people now that have been listening to us and that follow our show will join the group
and they can share their
and be a part of
stories
this too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because this is great. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Well, thanks for having us.
parentingagingparents.com. Kim and Mike Barnes, thanks so much for being with us. We do appreciate it. Thanks for making the drive. And good luck on the visit with your mom.
Yeah.
It was our
Appreciate
pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you for
thank
having
you.
All
us.
right. The way we end our shows, you look in the camera.
Yep.
That's your camera. Throw up the peace signs, as cheesy as it is, and say
Okay.
mom game out. Right, because we do three things together. We cry together, we drink together, and we mom game out
And we
together.
throw up peace signs and
And then we throw
call it
up
good.
peace signs.
And go on
Okay.
with our.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
In
ready?
3, 2, 1.
Mom
game out.
The Mom Game is proud to partner with local Geico offices, Victoria Elliott, proudly serving your local community.